Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Darkstone Dossiers with your host, Anthony Darkstone.
Greetings and welcome. Buonasera a tutti. Buenas noches, bonne nuit, bonsoir. Welcome to the Darkstone Dossiers and my wonderful guest that I will be talking about in a little bit, or talking to as well. The Darkstone Dossiers, as you've noticed, is an SAM, Society of American Magicians, International Assembly production. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to tell you that I have the honor of being the president of the International Assembly and next president of the entire SAM has as his motto and theme, we welcome the world. The idea is to let people know that the Society of American Magicians is and always has been a worldwide organization, not just necessarily for people who live in the US, with the proviso, of course, that they are an SAM member. And if they're not, you just go to the website, or if you have some friends that you would like to they just go to the website, and on the homepage next to become a member, it tells you how to join the International Assembly. The only criteria, or the major criteria, is you first have to be a member of the SAM. The idea is to spread the word worldwide, quite literally. And if you are an SAM member, well, I would kindly ask you to do your bit and talk to any contacts that you have or anyone you feel would like to join the SAM and by default, if you like, the International Assembly. So at the end of the show, we have what we call meet and greet. And the gentleman I'm about to introduce you to refers to it as schmooze and mingle. What does he know? He's from New York. So basically, that is your opportunity to put your mic on, talk to my guest, ask any questions, or just chat, or put something. If you think, well, I don't really want to do that, type it up in the chat section and I will read it out to my guest. So having said all of that, I think it would be amiss if I did not do this. Past president of the Society of American Magicians, and since last year, the dean of the SAM International Assembly. Please say hello to Dr. Joel Zaritsky.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. I'm glad everybody's here, especially on this beautiful summer day. That at least we in New York we got that. But you are in for such a treat today, because I've seen what this gentleman who's on the Darkstone Dossiers has available. Because I have everything queued up for this. Your mind will be blown today for this episode. Stay tuned, because this is going to be unbelievable. Thanks, Anthony.
Most welcome, Joe. And as they say in show business parlance, follow that. And the short answer is, I can't. So let's just see some of Frank's work.
This is a little trick that uses 4 coins and 4 cards. We have 3 half dollars and an East African dime. And we'll use the 4 aces. The top cards get covered with black. The top coins get covered with black. The top get red, the bottom gets black. I want you to watch, because it's going to happen rather quickly. Now, if I confused you, guess why? That's right, too many cards. So what we're going to do is get rid of the red cards and just use the black aces. I want you to watch, because this is going to happen rather quickly. If I've confused you, guess why? That's right, too many cards. So we'll just get rid of that one. We have the ace of clubs, the East African dime, the 3 half dollars. That's 1 coin in the right hand, 2 coins in the left. Watch the first coin as it goes. The second coin. Now, you might have heard the coins clink That was actually this coin telling this coin goodbye. We've got one coin to go. Watch, watch, watch. If I confused you, guess why? That's right, too many cards. We're going to try to do it without any cards. What we do is watch the first coin as it goes. The second coin is almost a visible jump. The last coin, just give a little wiggle like that, and it goes across. As I spread through the cards, I'd like you to just think stop for me. Right there is where you want to stop. The 9 of spades. That's a pretty good hand or card to stop at. What we're going to do is take that card and place it into the middle of the pack. If we press down on the bottom card, you'll notice that one card penetrates through the deck. That's the 9 of spades. This time we're going to take the 9 of spades and place it into the pack. We cast a little shadow over the cards. You'll notice that one card turns over in the pack, and that would be the 9 of spades. Now the 9 of spades has done a couple of strange things. First, it penetrated through the deck, and then it reversed itself in the deck. I'm going to try something a little differently this time. I'm going to just leave it sticking out of the pack. And if we cast another shadow over the cards, you'll notice that this time the deck reverses around the 9 of spades. I would like to show you a little something using the deck of cards and one card, the 3 of hearts. I'd like you to watch because I'm going to take that 3 of hearts and place it close to the center of the pack. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't close to the center. Let's try that again. We'll take that 3, we'll place it close to the center of the pack. You know, I was off by about 3 cards that time. Let's try it again. We'll take the 3, place it into the pack, give a little snap, and the 3 comes to the top. We'll get back to that 3 in a moment. What I'd like to do is use some extra cards. Let's take that card. And let's take that card. And we'll take that card. And we need one more card. Let's take that card right there. So I've pulled out 4 extra cards. Let's see what we got. We've got the 4 kings. Now, if you remember over here on the right, we've had the 3 of hearts. No, I'm sorry. That was the 4 kings, the 3 of hearts. It's right here. All right, Don. Years ago, artists used to hand paint playing cards. So each card was like a miniature illustration, so to speak.
Okay.
What I'd like you to do is just take and cut about half the cards down onto the table for me. There you go, and we'll just mark the cut right there. Now, I also used to collect illustrations from the 40s and 50s.
Okay.
This is Carly. You can, just by looking, you can tell she was used as an illustration for Coca-Cola.
Correct.
This one's Ginger. Kid's photographer, you can tell by a little toy up there.
Surely.
Yeah. And this was used on the cover of a photography magazine.
Okay.
Here's Fran. This illustration was actually used as the cover for Field and Stream type of a magazine.
Oh. Okay.
This one is Molly. Molly actually enjoys being the outdoor type, and they were talking about picnics and all that. She was used as an illustration for that type of article.
Okay.
And this is Holly. Holly was used for a hitchhiking article on the problems of hitchhiking. Now, Don, what we're going to do is give these to you. And what we can do is take the top card, deal it down to the table, and then the next one's going to go under. So if you would take those for me.
Shall I?
Yeah, and deal down. Top one goes down. You can put them like right there. Next
Okay.
one goes under. Next one down. Next one under. Next one down. Next one under. Next one down. Next one under. Next one down. And we'll just take this one
Okay.
and we'll get to that in a second. Now, you remember in the beginning, we had you cut to a card. Will you take a look at the card that you cut to? Turn it
Certainly.
over. Turn it over. The
Ace of diamonds.
which is interesting because if we look at the illustration, you'll notice that the girl is holding the ace
Ace.
of diamonds.
Wow. That is just, yes. You make up your own adjective. You saw what you saw, okay? Well, I'm sure we have a little bit more, but I felt this would be a good way to start to introduce my guest. Now, I have to tell you, I met him way back in the day, 20 years. And I met him as a result of a mutual friend of ours, Dan Garrett, who was also a past national president of the SAM. He's still around and a member of our International Assembly. Dan Garrett kindly introduced us. And why? Because that was the first time my son had been to Vegas, and we were invited to open for Steve Daiquiri, who sadly is no longer with us, blessings for his memory. And Steve was amazing because he was well known for doing close-up shows in Vegas, which traditionally, as we all know, is kind of like big stage things and whatever. So he opened this show at the Orleans and invited us to come down and be his opening acts. The Orleans, yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's where Magic Live was at. Yeah, I know, but 20 years ago, nobody had ever heard of it. It was a great place off strip. And then slowly over the years, it began to kind of gain a reputation, and, you know, magic things were held there, and more recently, as I mentioned, Magic Live. And that's where I first met Frank and his bride. And we've been really, really good buddies ever since. And every time in Vegas, obviously, yeah, we hang out with pals of ours. And I'm incredibly grateful to him because on one of those occasions, I had my arm twisted to lecture for the IBM Ring 257. Lecture in Vegas to magician. Yeah, I know, I was that silly. But anyway, I did it. And Frank helped me enormously with photographs, even printing out my lecture notes because I didn't want to truck them over on a plane and that kind of thing. So, you know, really, really good buddies. And before we go any further, I'll tell you a little bit more about Frank, but what we want to do is actually introduce him to you so you can see who he is. So, ladies and gentlemen, a warm Zoom welcome to my wonderful guest and longtime pal, Frank Zach. There you are, Frank.
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
I am doing just great. Delighted to have you here. I really, really, really am. We've been trying
And
to
I'm
do
delighted to be had.
well, thank you. We've been trying to do this for a year, haven't we? Between schedules, yours and mine, and eventually we actually managed to anchor down a date, would you believe? Yeah, it's great. I mean, it really, really is great. I know it's unprofessional to keep saying that. I know it's me, the talk show host, and very pro. But hey, you know what? You're a very, very close buddy of mine. You even taught me in your home how to use mayo to make sandwiches. You remember that?
I do. I do.
Yeah. So from now on in, I don't use butter on sandwiches. I use mayo because Frank introduced me to that some years ago when we hung out in your home. That was when I brought my brother over as a surprise for
I think
his birthday.
so,
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. And you drove us up and down the strip and showed him Vegas, and we went and did some wonderful things and met some wonderful people. You really, really are a good pal. Before we jump into magic, which people have kind of seen what you do, you are also a great photographer. Now, a lot of folks would know that because you do still life, you do people, you do, well, basically all kinds of photography,
Pretty much, yeah.
pretty much. And I think you made
Except weddings. Don't do weddings anymore.
no, oh no, right. Don't blame me. What I'd like to do, in fact, is obviously we cannot pull up all your work, but if somebody likes to see your photography and is interested, I know I've put a good friend of mine in touch with you, a good photographer friend. I think they just go to Facebook or look you up and get to see where you keep all your, your photographs. But for the purpose of the show, because it is essentially around magic, obviously, I'd like to pull up in no particular order, which Joel very kindly will do, and then you and I will just talk about it. And what we're pulling up
Okay.
are magic pictures or pictures of magicians, if I'm going to be precise. So in no particular order, these are just shots that you've taken along the years. What's this one? This is Jason Andrews, now known as Jason Newsom, who is also a member of our SAM International Assembly.
That was a
And the next
publicity
one-
shot that I did for him.
Okay. This is, of course, great Alan Ackerman, who I had the great privilege, you introduced me to him when I did my lecture at Boomers back in the day with Gary Darwin, if you recall. And,
I
if
do.
anybody knows who that gentleman is, Alan Ackerman, he knows about cards. And he came to the lecture and was very complimentary to me. This, of course, needs no introduction. A Canadian gentleman, Doug Henning, for those who may not know, another one of Jason. Of course, nobody needs to know, but I'll just say it for the two of you who don't. The great Howard Hamburg. And this, of course, for the one person who has no idea, is the late, great, wonderful Johnny Thompson. And here he is with Pam. Kevin James, who is also, by the way, a member of our SAM International Assembly. This is, some of you may not recognize this person, but it's an actually very,
Bonnie
very,
Bitch.
yeah, Bonnie
That's Bonnie
Bitch.
Bitch. That's the stage name.
Very, very good friend of Frank's and mine, AKA Steve Daly. So here he is, Steve Daly. That's in his Bonnie Bitch character, Frank, as you rightly said.
Yeah.
This one is not Bonnie Bitch. It's the other, I can't remember what this one is, but this is one of his performing characters anyway, as well. And that's Steve Daly. Of course, Doug Henning again. We will come to that in a moment, Frank. Remind me to talk to you about that. That's the Gainsborough
You
painting.
got it.
The Blue Boy. With that, that's very important. I put that there for good reason. What's the next magician we've got? No, I put that in specifically for the dean of our SAM International Assembly, Joel.
Thank you.
There's a reason that's here, because that was taken by Frank. Of course, blessings for Norm.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. Blessings to Norm's memory. There was somewhere in between, I think, after we first met. I think this was a few years later. And Norm and Lupe were so kind, inviting me to the home. And my brother was with us because I was just treating, he loves magic, he's not a magician. And Norm and Lupe were so kind and said, come visit the house and we'll show you the museum and everything else. And I said, well, would it be okay if I brought a friend? And he said, yeah, of course. And that friend happened to be Frank, who took some wonderful pictures of Norm and myself. You understand, of course, that was a photograph of me when I was a lot older. And we took that. And if anybody's interested, by the way, it's nothing to do with the show today, but I'll just say it very quickly. I have a DVD, which Frank also helped me make, of the tour of the Poster Museum with my tour guide as Norm himself. I don't post it on Facebook. I don't do anything with it. That is strictly personal for kind of private friends. If you ever want to watch it, I may do a Zoom show and then just to watch it. Trust me, it is amazing. It's a private tour. It's about an hour and something long, wasn't it, Frank? I mean, just blew us away.
So, yeah.
Yeah, just blew us away.
Beautiful
So-
museum.
Oh, but the house is a museum.
Yeah.
Let alone the poster museum. And when we talk about posters, we're talking about, 8 by 10 feet posters. They're that big, and, just amazing. So what a blessing and privilege it was to be able to do that. And of course, when I've been back in Vegas, I always hung out with Norm before he passed and so on. Anyway, part of Frank's magic, you, what's the phrase? Earned your stripes at a bar. several bars, in fact. Talk to us a little bit about
Well-
your bartending and bar magic.
Well, I cut my teeth. I used to drive up from Pittsburgh to the Forks Hotel up in Buffalo, and I worked up there. And that's working under fire because they had 4 different rooms. And if a magician was working a room, another magician couldn't work it at the same time. So when the magician would go in, everybody that was there surrounded the magician. So you basically were working surrounded with people looking over your shoulder. And that's where you learn misdirection. Because if you don't, they're going to point it out really, really fast. And then I bartended for 20 years. I bartended a little bit back in Pittsburgh and then out here in Vegas for 20 years after dealing in surveillance. And working behind the bar in Vegas, different than a bar anywhere else, mainly because you have the slot machines in the bar. So not only are you dealing with people needing drinks, but people cashing out the slot machines, people needing change for the slot machines. And back there, if I did 3 tricks in a row, I considered that a set. And the other thing I learned is you can't do a 3-minute routine. Everything had to be about 30 to 40 seconds and go from there because you just didn't have time.
Yeah, because you were busy, as you say, serving drinks, which was the main aim of the game, obviously, to take money for the bar. And then, like you said, you know, if anybody's been in Vegas, which pretty much everybody here has, there are machines everywhere on everything. So trying to do magic, serve drinks, and, you know, give people quarters or whatever it is at the time, you know, tokens. It lends a whole new meaning to multitasking, Frank, right?
Exactly. When I first started bartending in Vegas, they were still using quarters. Then they got away from the coin and went totally coinless. But I remember working in one bar where the owner encouraged you to drink with the customers. If the customer wanted to buy you a drink, you drank it with them. Well, I only did that one time because somebody gave me a bucket of quarters. I ran it through the coin counter and I tried to figure out how much to pay them. Couldn't do it in my mind. Looked down at the calculator and saw the numbers just swimming around there. Oh, yeah. So I finally figured out what to pay them. I gave it to them and that was it. Never drank behind the bar after that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, that
Yeah.
is the cardinal sin, is it not? You know,
It is.
thank you for the
It
drink.
is.
Put the money in the tip jar or whatever. Yeah. Or
Exactly.
you fake it and go, I'm going to have a vodka
Yeah.
and tonic, and you just put the tonic in the glass, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're watching you to pour, see if you're pouring.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've got a few friends that I'm not going to mention names. They still do what we call bar magic. Yes, not just, but and bartending at the same time. To me, I've never done it. To me personally, there are 2 gigs that have my total, absolute 1,000,000% admiration. One is street magic. You just start from zero,
Yeah,
get a crowd,
yeah.
and hopefully make some money. And the other is magic at a bar.
To me, there's 2 types of bar magicians. There's a magic bartender and a bar magician. And to me, a magic bartender is somebody that has other people pouring the drinks, and that gives them time to do a 15, 20-minute show. And then there's the bar magician who's doing the magic and tending the bar and dealing with everything that's going on. And I would love to have a location where I can do a 20-minute set. That would be awesome.
Well, speaking of locations and set, I mean, you know, I mentioned about doing only brave hearts like mine, or idiots like me, will do a lecture in Vegas. But we did it, and it was good, and it was fun. And you helped, and you took some great pictures, and a few names even showed up, and which was kind of like, wow, okay, great, they can see me, that's good. That went very well. And as I said earlier, you helped me prepare the lecture notes rather than me trudging them all the way over on a plane.
Yeah.
You got them all prepared and everything else for me, and even did the CDs, if I recall. Yeah. Now you were saying to me earlier, in fact, and even a few minutes pre-show, you also lectured in Vegas, did you not? This was some time
I
ago.
did.
The Riviera, if I remember rightly.
The Riviera back in the early 2000s at the SAM that was at the Riviera.
Yeah.
But before I get there, I wanted to go back to one thing about how people perceive the magic that you do. I would do an effect where I would borrow a bill, pour salt into it, it would vanish, and then the salt would come back. Then I'd vanish the bill. Then I'd vanish the salt shaker, and the salt shaker would end up underneath somebody's chair. And then I'd find the bill inside of a lemon. Well, I had somebody come in and ask me if I could do the trick where a bill vanishes and ends up inside the salt shaker under his chair. And I thought, wow, it would be a really great trick if I could do it. So I told him another buddy of mine that does bar magic asked me if he can do it. So he's doing it. And he's over at this bar. You need to go over and talk with him about it. But yeah, so that's kind of how people perceive the magic that they see,
Right.
although they combined everything. But back to the SAM in the early 2000s, I performed with Paul Green. He and I both did close up and lectured, and we alternated between opening for each other. And my good friend of mine from Pittsburgh, Russ Smith, is the one who booked me for the convention. And Russ came up to me during the convention. He said, everybody's asking me who Frank Zach is. And I talked to Paul Green. He goes, everybody's coming up and going, who's Frank? Who's Frank? So when I opened my lecture, I said, hi, everybody's asking who Frank Zach is. That's just me. Hi. And then I went into the lecture, which was well received. But I told Paul Green that I was going to get him a t-shirt that said, I opened for Frank Zach on the front, and on the back it's going to say, Frank who? Paul's a real good friend, so I figure I can get away with
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
We're eventually going to see this one way or the other. So,
All right. Well, we go back to a time. It's still around, but not like it used to be back in the day, where magicians got together. We could have fun, and there was none of this. Oh God, I'm going to get shot for this one. Like politically correct stuff and what you can't
Yep.
do, and people kind of being all prissy and ego. You just went on and you did it. You had fun. You got a bottle of beer and you poured it down Norm's throat and he just laughed, and things like that, where you could have fun at the conventions. And I remember very well Hank Morehouse, in fact, booked all the talent, and after Hank, Russ Smith. And I remember Russ saying the best advice I ever got from Hank Smith was, from Hank Morehouse, was make sure any friends you've got are not going to become your enemies, because when you're booking talent for the convention, everybody's your friend and everybody wants to be on it. And oh man, and I've seen Russ Smith work back at the FISM convention when I was a stage competitor's host in 2000. I mean, Russ was like everywhere talking to different acts, and I mean, and then I think who took over from Russ, I can't recall. Is it Mike Miller? Joel would probably know. But anyway, somebody took over from Russ. I think it may well be Mike Miller, or maybe somebody in between. Yeah, it was right. Joel's just confirmed it. Joel knows these things. Yeah. So, being booked in your hometown for a convention, and then people seeing it, and then they go, yeah, by the time you're finished, they go, yeah, okay, I know who Frank Zach is now. Yeah, exactly. Well, to be honest, I before I met you 20 something years ago through Dan Garrett introducing us, I heard your name, but I didn't know who you were and what you did. I had no idea. Right. And then we just kind of clicked, and here we are. Well, speaking of
20 years later.
Indeed. Well, you don't just do magic and perform bar magic. You're actually something of an incredible inventor with various things. I mean, I've got tons of them here that you gave me, some that I'm holding on to. Yeah. Things like that, and your lecture notes. I'm going to ask Joel if he'd be kind enough to pull up the Gainsborough painting of the Blue Boy.
Blue Boy.
Yeah, and I want you to please, Frank, just talk to everybody. I know the story, but it's such a great story. I would love it if you'd be kind enough to share it and how it all came about.
Well, I always like packet effects, and just Gainsborough's Blue Boy, the way he's holding that hat, it just struck me that it would be nice if he was holding a playing card instead. And so I copied the Blue Boy, scanned playing cards, played around with getting the cards in his hand. And I had a buddy who was a graphic designer. He took the stuff that I had and he just embellished it and made it phenomenal. And for the longest time, I just had little packet things. And then Marietta bought the rights to it and put it out in a bigger version, which was selling well for him. And so that's how that came about.
Yep. I think it's a superb, dare I use the phrase, quantum leap from a classic piece of art to, it's obvious when you say, well, he was holding the hat and it looked interesting. It's obvious once you've said it. But until that point, you actually sat down and thought, wouldn't it be cool if he was having a playing card instead?
And the nice thing is it's set up so they can be repeated 4 times.
Right.
He's 4 different playing cards.
Right, exactly. That when I first saw you do that, it just blew me away. I can't even remember where it was. I think we were having lunch with Steve Daly, Jason Andrews, you, I, and somebody else. I don't remember. But you just kind of brought this out. And you brought this out, and each time the card changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my brain is going. Yeah, my
times.
brain is going. There's a switch, but my eyes never saw it, and I was like, "What?" You know, opposite you on the table, we were eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was a Thai restaurant in Vegas somewhere. Anyway, you know, it's good to reminisce about these things. Now you've come up with quite a few things along the way, haven't you? Different effects, which you are a little bit, you don't really want to go.
2 or 3 sets of lecture notes, maybe 4.
Yeah. And
one using stickers,
Mhm.
lecture note on stickers.
Oh yeah, I have that one which you kindly gave me. That is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Stuck on you, yeah.
Yeah, it's just great. Now, if people kind of look at it and kind of go, wow, this is good. I'd like to explore a little bit about what Frank has, what his lecture notes say. I'd like to learn some of the techniques, etc. Can they get to you? Obviously, Facebook is the first one. Send you a message.
Yeah, easiest way is just email me at imagic@cox.net.
Perfect. So, okay,
Yeah.
that's it. And I think, you know, we may be able to get it up in the chat or something if people want it right now. Now, we'll come to the point here, Frank, where I'm going to presume a little bit on our friendship. Okay.
Sure.
Want to show me some stuff that you're working on?
Okay. not like we haven't prepared anything or whatever, Tony. But yeah, I think I can show you a couple of little things.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah,
Let me switch my camera over. Tony, what I'm going to do is spread through the cards. I'd like you to just say stop for me, if you would.
Stop.
Right there.
Yes, sir.
The card that you stop me at is the 7 of diamonds. I'm going to take that 7 of diamonds. We'll place it underneath the card box. Now we have one more card that we're going to use. In this case, it'll be the 9 of clubs. If I take the 9 of clubs and tap it on top of the card box, we now have the 7 of diamonds.
Whoa.
If this was the 9 of clubs, that would be a heck of an effect, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes, it would.
Yeah, the Joker, because Jokers are wild. But Tony, if we rub that Joker over top the card box, you see it'll change to the 9 of clubs.
Whoa. Okay.
The other thing is just a cute little switch that I use, where you take a card like the 6 of spades and just give it a little rub on the table, and change it to the 4.
Oh, wow.
And I use that anytime I need to just change some cards out or whatever.
Yeah. You're the reason I don't really do card magic or close up or coins or anything. Yeah, I mean, you sit in the front row, you listen to Sinatra sing, and then you go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll just stick to playing the drums or the bass guitar. Oh,
Exactly.
really? No, but seriously, you've inspired a ton of, me, mine is sort of more stage and TV and big stuff and more kind of, sorcery. But I love this kind of magic because you're one of the few people in the world, and I dare say many members of our audience will agree with me. I dare say that you actually make me feel like a layperson. And, that is a wonderful, wonderful feeling, not only as a magician, but as a producer. I've done, lots of shows, not just the Zoom Gala ones. And, you're bringing talent together. And it's not always something that you like or enjoy. It's the right talent for that show. Yeah. But every once in a while, something comes up and you look at it, you go, oh, yeah, you made me feel like a layperson. And that's what you do. And I sincerely
hope. Well, the interesting thing is, Tony, all the stuff that's in my lecture notes is everything that I used to do behind the bar. Mm-hmm. And that's the money. That's what got me the extra tips. So everything has been audience tested thousands of times. I do a little shot glass routine. Mm-hmm. I have the shot glass laying on the table. I vanish and all of it appears underneath the shot glass without the shot glass being covered, and never got caught. And I went 6 months where they were catching me every time and I could not figure it out. And what it was, when I wasn't getting caught, I had the shot glass off to the right, and after I vanished, I'd go to the left, so that I would load the shot glass, and all the misdirection was over here on the left. Well, for 6 months, I had the shot glass right here in front of me. And I was handing the olive that I vanished to the person right here, so the line of sight was straight on. And that's how they were catching me. So you have to realize that you can't get complacent with what you do, even though you've done it thousands of times. And you can't get lazy in what you're performing. And the other thing is, as you do things over and over and over again, you hone the routine. And that's what it takes, just doing it and doing it and doing it. I do a card under glass, and magicians go, well, how do you do that without getting caught? I said, you keep doing it until you don't get caught.
Right.
That's... Yeah. That's just how it is. It's if you get caught, you figure out what misdirection you need to do not to get caught. You try it. If you get caught, you realize that didn't work. Now you try something else.
Jack, you made me recall something very interesting, in fact, and that is, some folks here may recall this, but back in the day, and I really mean back in the day before it burned down and everything, Magic Island over in Houston was like a major mecca, for one of another adjective. And the entertainment director there, who also used to perform every night, by the way, was Scott Hollingsworth. And I always remember Scott Hollingsworth, and he was actually talking to my son at the time. We were also sitting there, and he said something to him: practice, practice, practice. Then practice some more. And when you're done with practicing, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And you know what? That hit me, because rehearsal is not the same as practice.
No.
Any play on Broadway, they take it out of town somewhere and rehearse it over and over.
Yeah, you got to do it in front of people.
You
have to work in front of people.
Exactly.
I told a friend of mine who's trying to put an act together to get booked at the Castle. I said, you need 17 minutes, but when you do put your 17 minutes together, allow for reactions. Because if you just do 17 minutes of material, once you start getting those reactions, you're running over that 17 minutes. So if you do one effect, and it takes 2 minutes with reactions, then even though it's a minute and a half trick, you have to allow that extra 30 seconds when you're putting that 17 minutes together.
Or the
And-
occasional ad lib that you may have to make because somebody's going to come up with a
Exactly.
line that you don't know anything about. Yeah. I remember
Exactly.
back in
And
the day.
I've seen performers. I was at the castle watching a friend of mine work, and he was very scripted, and he was working the late show at the close-up room, and the one lady was a little tipsy, you might say, and he was sweating, and she kept trying to talk to him, and finally she grabbed her napkin, just started wiping off the sweat from him, and reached over and gave him a little kiss on his cheek as he was in the middle of an effect. And I mean, he just lost his place. He lost everything. It's good to be scripted, but not so scripted that if someone throws you a line, you can't ad lib to it. At least that's what I've learned behind the bar. Because behind the bar, people are going to start throwing lines at you and everything else. And if you don't react, then they take over the show and not you.
That's a very, 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 very important and valid point. Did I stress that enough? Perhaps not, but there you go.
You need a one more very, I think.
Yeah, one more very. Okay. Extremely valid. Because, all of us, have done stuff, been there, done that, thrown away the T-shirt and everything else. Well, not all of us, most of us. But you're still in that learning curve where you want to allow them to come in and enjoy what you're doing, but you cannot let them take over. The moment you do that, as you say, you've lost it. It cannot be recovered. You just
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and particularly in our art, I mean, nobody interrupts, Stevie Ray Vaughan when he used to play. Nobody jumps up on stage and joins him in a duet or, a ballet, Swan Lake. Nobody else just gets up and does a pirouette. But magicians, sometimes people will grab stuff. They will take stuff, particularly if you're doing close up, right? So I think your valid point, I think people need to stop and think about that a little bit. Well, quite a bit, really. There comes a moment where you see, okay, this horse is getting away. You give it its head, but you still hold the reins tight. Because you let go of those reins, you've had it. That horse is going to take off.
I was working.
Go ahead.
Years ago, I was working in a hospitality suite, and when I do the coin stuff in the hospitality suite, I use 1947 Walking Liberty half dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the table of people that were probably in their mid to late 60s. One lady had diamonds on her fingers that were more than I made in a lifetime. And she actually grabbed one of the Walking Liberties and wouldn't give it back. And did not know what to do, didn't know how to handle it. My first thought was break her fingers and take it back. And I thought, well, no, that probably won't, because I don't look good in federal orange. So I told the lady that booked me what happened. I told her, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it. And a few minutes later, the husband brought the coin back to me and apologized profusely. And as they were leaving, the lady looked at me and go, "You're no gentleman." And I just had a laugh because I thought, hey, you're no lady either. So our good friend John Rockerbomber, I told him the story. I said, how would you handle it? He said, thought for a second. He said, I probably would have told her, that my grandfather gave them to me on his deathbed and they had sentimental value to me. Can I give you, say, $10 to get it back? I thought, wow, that's a great idea. I still like the idea of breaking her fingers, but John was a whole lot better. But that's the time in 50 years of performing that I ever had a reaction.
John, as you know very well, and I'm very blessed to spend a lot of fun time with him. In fact, well, one of the best times was at the SAM convention in New Orleans. We had a blast. And, well, that sounds so much like John Rockefeller, doesn't it? I mean, Yeah.
Yes.
John would do this. I mean, if you don't know who John is, well, I can't possibly explain. If you know who he is, then you already understand what I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct,
He's a
Frank? Yeah.
wordsmith, that's for
He
sure.
is a word and then some. And he's
Yes.
written some amazing books on Marlowe and everything else. If you don't have them, I suggest you get them. But speaking of that time, I'm glad you brought up John. We were actually in Gary Hughes's house after the convention, and we all hung out with his pool. All else was there. Oh, blessings for his memory, dear Dave Goodsell, Ali Bongo, Shintaro from Japan, a few other people. And I remember Gary sitting at his bar with John, and he told us a story. And you jog my memory on it because of timing, something you said. If you've got a 17-minute act, allow for the odd interplay
Reactions.
and reactions or applause or whatever. Gary said he was on TV. He was Gary, for those who don't know, was at one time, if my memory serves me, I think 1999 to 2000. I may be out by a year. Was president of the SAM, and he, a lovely man. He was telling us a story. He was on TV and he forgot about the timing. And he got to the point where, and your card is, and they went, cut it, went to commercial or whatever. So this is very important to learn in the real world. And if you're on TV, even more important. If they
Back in the 80s when I performed at the Castle, I was doing a routine for my one-man parade in the Lincoln Ring, where the ace through 4 of spades would penetrate through a jumbo playing card. Well, the first 10 shows that I did, every time a card would penetrate through the jumbo card, I would get a round of applause. The 11th time I did it, I lifted the card, show the card penetrated through it, nothing. And it was like, I had a pause for a second because I was used to applause. So I went through the effect, and at the kicker at the end, when I wasn't getting an applause for each card, I was getting a bigger round of applause at the end than I did when I was getting a round of applause on each card, which just reinforced my belief that audiences are different. They're not all the same, because presentation was the same all the way through. It was just a different type of audience, and
absolutely,
and that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A buddy of mine was friends with Flip Wilson, and Flip told him that when he comes out on stage, his first 3 jokes are at a different pace.
Let me just stop you there for a second, Frank. For the younger people and those maybe not in the U.S., Flip Wilson was a tremendous, I mean, a great black comedian. He would come on laughing as well. Look him up. An incredible American comedian. Please continue. Flip Wilson said.
And he said that his first 3 jokes are done at 3 different paces. Whichever pace got the best reaction, that's how he paced the rest of his act. And that I thought was a wonderful, wonderful bit of information on putting your act together. You have to understand your audience.
Yes.
At Catch a Rising Star, that was at Bally's, they had tables in front, and then they had at the back, they had lounges that people would sit in on a tiered area. And I would watch comedians there, and I'd see them maybe 3-4 nights in a row, a couple of shows, because I was friends with the guy that managed it. So I go in and watch. And they would do the same pacing on a joke. And sometimes the joke would start at the front of the audience and work its way to the back. Other times it would start on the right side of the audience and work its way to the left. Other times from the left side, work its way to the right. Other times it would just start at the front, then go to the back, then go to, so when people say there's no such thing as a bad audience, I tend to disagree with them, because I have seen audiences just react totally different to the same effects, same pacing. So yeah,
You're so
And-
right. Like many of us know, if you're performing in different countries in the world, it's a cultural thing. That people can speak English and they're pretty good at it, but the culture is different. There are some parts in England I know. In England, would you believe, common language English and all that stuff, they would kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm interrupting, depending where you are regionally. I've seen that happen at the Magic Circle. Right? Somebody's doing something and everyone's sitting there watching it, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm dying here." He's not. It's just that they were so good technically that the magicians in the audience just literally forgot to applaud.
Well, when you work for magicians, it's a different mindset. Mike Skinner had an interesting bit of advice for me, because every now and then, someone will ask you to do magic, and either it's a celebrity or a big name magician or whatever, you get a little bit nervous. And I asked Mike, I said, how do you overcome that? He said, all you have to do is remember, they asked you to perform for them. You didn't ask to perform for them. They asked you, which means they thought enough of you to see what you do. And
That's a very, very interesting take.
yeah, at that point on, the nerves were never there for me.
Yeah, because you're right. I don't care who you are and how many shows you've done and how many countries you've done them in. There is a point sometimes, if you're doing it for royalty or what I would call a superstar or somebody like that, if you're long in the tooth, it's not so much nerves, it's more kind of apprehension, but it's there. It's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you got this is Princess Grace of Monaco. She's seen a lot of magic.
Yes. Yeah.
She's given out awards and things, and you kind of go, well,
But
okay,
if you realize they
yeah,
invited you.
and that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So I think, in some of the things we've got planned for the foreseeable future for the SAM International Assembly is that we're going to have kind of like little mini workshops and explore these kind of things, which, very few people talk about in their lectures, or very few books are written on it. I'm not saying there aren't any, but there are, but very few explore that. And this is one of the reasons why, knowing you as well as I do and respecting you and loving you as much as I do, I wanted you on the show, because I knew these things coming from you would carry a lot of validity to the audience of magicians who are listening.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I hope so too. Well, Frank, we've come to that wonderful time where we're sort of going to almost wrap it up and go to the meet and greet where people can chat directly to you or put things up in chat. But you know how I said I loved you and respected you, and you taught me how to put mayo on sandwiches, and I love your dog, and I think your bride Deb is wonderful. Can I keep going, Frank, or should I stop?
Sure, no, keep going. Yeah,
keep going. Yeah, you've got a splendid. You've got a splendid.
That butters.
You've got a splendid beard. I like the color of your shirt. Go and ask me what I want.
What do you want, Tony? Tony,
it's not me. It's not me. You understand? It's not me as the host. I'm
not you. Of course not.
No. I mean, I just said,
not you.
In case people watching are kind of going, those last two things that Frank did, I wonder if he would tip them. I mean, you understand, I'm not wondering. I mean, it's just in case people are wondering.
Sure, I'll be happy to tip them, Tony.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'd like you to do the cards. I'd like you to, wait a second. I need to put the other camera up, don't I?
I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
No,
well,
Joe,
that's kind of
just being a smart aleck.
Yeah, you do that well. Yeah. I know that.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, good buddy. Do it.
Okay.
Do it. And thank you. Before you do, thank you. That's really kind of you to do it. I mean,
you're welcome, Tony. For you, almost anything.
Oh, bless your heart. What a kind thing to say.
I'm not going to wear that chicken outfit again.
No. Don't let's go there. No. Just tip the workings. Forget the chicken outfit. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Some stories are best not told. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah.
On the first one, what you just need to do is have a joker on top of the deck. As you spread through the cards, you have someone just say stop and just out jog the card. And as you square up the deck, you're going to get a break under the top card. Spin out the card, turn it face up, in this case, the 5 of hearts. And now you're going to do the illogical double lift of Harry Reins. You're going to take the 2 cards as you turn them over, you're going to wrist kill as the thumb pushes off that bottom card. And basically, the reason it's illogical, because if you were turning the card over and flipping it off, it would be face up. So, like here, if you were actually doing it, you flip it off. That's how it should look. But because of the illogical thing, and you're turning over the 2 cards, you flip it over. Now you're going to place that card under the card box. And that's the joker that was on top of the deck. And now here's the 5 of hearts. You're going to get a 2-card break. Show the 2 of diamonds. Tap the top of the card box and show that it's now the 5 of hearts. Take this card out and tell them if it was the 2 of diamonds, that would be an excellent trick. Show this a joker. And as they're laughing at that, what you're going to do is just do a top change. Rub and show that you now have the 2 of diamonds. So it's not really hard. The illogical double lift, a top change, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's any question?
Kindly, yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Question is, could you please run through that again, maybe a little slower?
Sure.
Thank you.
You spread through, have a card selected, you up jog it, and as you close up, you're going to get a break under that top card. Pivot it out and show the 3 of spades. Turn over, doing the illogical double lift, placing it there. Now you get a 2-card break. You do your double lift, and you tap and show that it's changed to the 3 of spades. Now you're going to show this card as the joker and tell them jokers are wild. And you do a top change. And now you have the card.
Wow. Thank you, Frank. That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
The switch that I did, you're going to get a 2-card break, and I use the middle finger and the thumb. The middle finger's in the upper right-hand corner, the thumb's in the left, or lower left, and my left thumb's going to pivot the card over. And this card is the 5 of clubs. What's going to happen, I'm going to show it this way without the deck, is you bring your index finger up to the thumb, you're going to let it flip, and the index finger is going to push that bottom card to the side. So it's here, here, and the index finger pushes the card over. With the deck in the hand, as you flip it around and show it, the card's going to go on top of the deck, and the deck's going to wrist kill so that you can show that the card's changed.
Oh, wow. Really neat. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, Frank. That's really kind of you.
Yeah.
Really kind
Any
of
questions on that at all?
Well, I think now would be a good time.
And if they are, ask them in the meet and greet, and I'll go over it.
Yeah.
again.
Well, we'll now, I think, basically say on this part of the show, a huge thank you to you, Frank, and as people.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Tony. Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me.
No, not at all. It's a pleasure. I'm so glad we managed to juggle everything and finally get it down after a year. So this is good. And I wanted to do a kind of show which was a little bit kind of laid back, and people who usually come to the Darkstone Dossiers have seen each show is different in a way depending on the guest. And I knew this would be a blast, just kind of chilling out and with you and just having some fun.
Chance to reminisce a little bit.
Indeed. Yeah, that's also good because it jogged our memories, hopefully, in offering some suggestions and tips and ideas for people to go, yeah, that's interesting to think about. Yeah, because it doesn't really matter the message here. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing something, really. is, maybe relook at it, rework it, whatever. Yeah. And they can always, if they want to see more of your material and amazing thinking and creativity and inventions, they can contact you. I'm sure we can put your email in the chat.
Oh, also on that pinup pinnacle that I did,
Mm-hmm.
The last video that you guys showed in the beginning.
Yeah.
That also has 4 different cards, so it can be repeated 4 times.
Okay.
That's showing the same card.
I want to say a very quick thank you to, you've heard me mention their names, Peter Stevens and Michael Kelly, both of whom are members of our International Assembly. And they very kindly come on to these shows, just, shotgun, and just look at the gallery, make sure there's no nonsense and things going on. I will also tell you that Michael Kelly at one time was a guest on the Darkstone Dossiers. He has been in gala shows that we do and will be performing on the June 11 gala show. We have a gala show coming up. It is entitled We Welcome the World, which, if you recall at the beginning of the show, is the catchphrase for the incoming president in July when he takes the helm, Mr. Rothschild from Canada, first Canadian to become an SAM president. How's that, eh? So Michael is in that gala show, and also the next Darkstone Dossiers will be on June the 4th. That Darkstone Dossiers will have as its guest a wonderful gentleman. I'm pretty sure most of you know who he is, Rothschild, and he is going to be the next president of the Society of American Magicians. So that's on June 4 and June 11. Oh, I've just seen a message here from our current most illustrious, which is how we address the president of the Society of American Magicians, whoever he or she may be. Tom Gentile, the current president, says, I agree with Anthony. Make me feel like a layman comment. Wow. Great afternoon. Thank you. Well, you're most welcome, Tom. Okay. So now I think time has come, having given my thanks, of course, as always, to our dean and former SAM president, dear Joel, who is, just wonderful and sets up all the Zoom things and makes sure everything runs like it should. So thank you, Joel. And thank you last of all, but not least, to Frank, of course, and everybody who showed up. So thank you for being here. I hope you gained a little something. My chat with my very, very good longtime pal, Frank Zach, whom you probably realize in the way I'm talking. I absolutely adore this man. He also knows my family, so it's great. Anyway, over to you. Joel will now free your mics, or you can do so yourself. If you want to speak, speak directly to Frank, please, or put something in chat and I will read it out.
I have one question though before I do that. Frank, could you please show your top change again, please?
Okay. Let me get back. This is something that Paul Gertner showed me 50 years ago. As you're showing the card here, the left thumb pushes the card off the back. The first finger and thumb come across as the middle finger and index finger still the card back as it does. It's there.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you.
One more time, Frank.
And after 50 years, and I've been playing around trying to do this, and I just can't get the timing right on it because I've done it this way for 50 years.
Done at speed. That looks so convincing, doesn't it? Yeah. Wow. And the secret is tilt. You're holding it the mechanics grip and you tilt it towards you while it's happening. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Wow. Nice.
So thanks to Paul for showing me that years and years ago.
Oh, Mr. Stark is actually here. I don't know if he's going to put his camera on and talk to you. Mr. Stark, will you put your camera on or not? Go ahead. You can.
Hey, how's it going? Long time no see. It's been about 20 years.
About that, yeah. 20 years.
You're looking good, pal.
Thank you. You too. I like the beard.
Yeah, my wife said she never thought I'd look good in it, but she was surprised how well I looked. I'm looking to do Santa Claus this year, which is why I started growing it.
Okay, I was going to say you look very mystical, very sage-like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not if you hear me talk. Nah, not even close.
I've got a ways to go
So
still. It's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I actually started this January 1st. So we're coming in almost 5 months. I'm really concerned when it hits the 120 degrees out here this summer, how I'm gonna like it.
You're going to have birds.
Probably not.
You're going to have birds nesting in it, Frank.
Without a doubt, yes.
Yeah, you know who this is you're talking to, right? Of course.
Of course I know who it is.
You call you
It's
recognize
Mr. Stark.
you recognize him. You recognize him.
I
Of course.
do.
Yeah. He ain't changed much, has he? Well, listen, he got rid of his ponytail and I've got it now. See?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Man, that was some fun times, wasn't it, over in the Orleans? We had,
Oh, it was. It
yeah.
was.
Do you remember
You guys
that?
need to come back out.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you remember the after show party when we finished the run? Who all was there in black? Oh, Rick Thomas showed up. Do you remember wearing his
Rick
Tiger
Thomas, yeah.
T-shirt? You were there, and that was
Yeah.
so cool hanging out because he'd let us go play with his Tiger. Do you remember that? I was going to go by his name, Mr. Stock. When
Yes,
he
I
let
do
us go
remember.
when we go backstage to play with the Tigers.
I-
I hasten to
I do-
add, Mr.
I do
Thomas's
remember.
Tigers were in the
Yep.
cage. Dave Goodsell organized that for us because he knew the Tiger handler.
Yeah.
Dave-
I think we should.
I would love to
check out
find somebody that has them now so I can go photograph them.
Yeah, well, nobody's using them.
Anybody that
anymore.
has them out here now.
No, but nobody's using them anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's too much. People only realize the work that goes on behind the stage. you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
Getting this huge animal out from a refrigerated or truck that's cool at the right temperature into the cage at the right moment. So, it's a little cub and it becomes
Oh,
a
yeah.
huge tiger, and then, and then training it. So like Rick does that, he has the paws on his shoulder. I mean, man, there were great days in Vegas, I mean, they really, it was good. I'm glad Mr. Stark got to see that because I've often spoken to him about it, and he actually came out there and open for Steve. I mean, you came
It was
the
great
open,
seeing them.
yeah, at the open show. Well, I mentioned you were going to be here, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to try and get there. I'm going to try and get there." Yeah. Okay, right, Mr. Stark, off you go. We'll get you off
I'm
because
not gonna look back.
there
Good
may
to see you,
be.
Frank. Take care.
Good seeing you too, pal. Get back out to Vegas so we can visit.
Sounds like a plan. Take care. Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.
Good night. Take care.
Yeah. Oh, 4 aces. I know who that is. That's dear John O'Riordan. Wonderful evening. Thank you, Frank and Anthony. John O'Riordan
You're quite welcome.
is
Thank you for sticking around to the end.
is a Gold Star MIMC at the Magic Circle, a member of our SAM International Assembly, and how can I best put this? A superb close-up magician, well experienced, superb close-up magician, and a fine Irishman who enjoys Bushmills, and he's even introduced me to some unknown brands of Irish whiskey. So yeah, I'm quite fond of John O'Riordan. He's also going to be in our gala show, by the way, on June the 11th. You're gonna see some stuff. Make a note, guys. Make a note. I'll give you all the links and everything, and the links are always on the SAM official page and Eric DeCamp's SAM Compares page and everywhere else.
Thank you, Anthony. It was very kind of you.
No, it's John. There you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
not at all. You're welcome.
I have been trying to change my name up there because it's got my email address, but for some reason I can't change it to help people out there. But I enjoyed your close-up magic. I thought it was fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much.
May I ask you a question, Frank?
Sure.
Books or DVDs?
Oh, books. Definitely books.
I thought so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. I have DVDs, and a lot of times when I watch them, I fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But yeah, definitely books.
And do you have a favorite book?
Whichever one I'm reading at the time. I got rid of a lot of the books, and now the ones that I have are just reference books for things. You know, because after 50 years, you know, why would I can't see going out and buying more stuff. It's with everything that I have and all the books that I have, there's a ton of information in them. And I'll just go back and look at those.
Yeah, well,
Books or DVDs.
yeah, your study of the way you perform, I more or less could answer the question I asked you, that I knew you put your own personality on it. And
yeah. And like I said, a lot of that was when I was going up to the Forks Hotel in Buffalo and breaking in stuff, being surrounded. It was a training that I couldn't have bought. Good gentleman up there by the name of Bill Okel told me when I was coming to Vegas to look up Mike Skinner, because he and Mike were excellent friends, because when Mike used to go to the Forks. And when I introduced myself to Mike, I told him, you know, Bill Okel told me to look him up. It was like I was an instant friend. And I didn't know much about Mike at the time. And I foolishly tried the session with him. And after 3 hours, I ran out of material, and I watched him for another couple of hours. And then I fell asleep on his couch. And when I woke up an hour later, he was still going strong. Yeah, it was interesting. I had a lot of interesting magicians that I've become friends with. Danielle Cross, who was a magician at the Desert Inn in the Monte Carlo Lounge. He was a bar magician, became a good friend of mine. Jimmy Grippo. And back then, the Darwin Magic meeting would start at 10 o'clock at night and go until 3 or 4 in the morning.
wow.
And that's when strip performers would show up after their second show. So it was a great time for magic in Vegas when I got here.
That was on the Wednesdays that Gary
Wednesday
used to
nights,
have
10 o'clock at night,
room,
yeah.
the back room at Boomers. I was saying earlier on when I
Yeah.
sort of lectured then. He was such a kind, wonderful man. Well, he was to me anyway. I loved his humor and stuff like that. I mean, he was just great.
He was like Magic's Henny Youngman with his one.
Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it. I was blown away when he came. He came to me and he said, "Can you sign this?" And I looked at it, and it was a copy of MUM, which was 2001, if I recall, January, with my mug on the cover. And I'm like, "What? Gary Dobbin wants me to sign this?" And I said, "First lady." He said, "Oh yeah." It shows you he'd gone to all the trouble to get a copy and then come over to
Oh, he had a copy. He didn't go get it. He had it.
He had it.
He was a collector. Did you ever go to his house?
No, but I heard about it from Lance Burton. They're still
Yes.
trying to get rid of stuff from floor to ceiling,
Oh,
literally.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, it was kind of great reminiscing from the good old days where we learned our craft, from people like that who helped.
Yeah.
I'm trying so hard to recall his name. Of course, Alan Ackerman, we spoke about. Huey, help me out here, Frank.
Louis Simonoff.
That's the man. Yeah.
Louis Simonoff, yes.
Yeah, I almost kind of went Smirnoff vodka, but I knew it was close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy. I mean, he was a great guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He came up, I remember he said something. He came up to me after the lecture and he kind of went, what, show me that. And I went, okay, show me that. And he said, oh, you've eliminated 4 moves. So I said, yeah, that's the general idea. And he went, oh, okay, good. It's emotional when you get people of that stature coming over to you and saying that.
Yes.
They just love it. Oh man, I'm just fond memories.
Let me answer Joel's question. No, I didn't have a list, Joel. If I was working on a new effect, that was what I did maybe 10 or 12 times a night for a week. And if I couldn't get the reaction that I wanted, I got rid of it and tried something else. I had so much stuff that I could do. If I did some stuff during the first week, next week I'd switch over to something else. And like I said, a lot of times I didn't have time to do a whole lot of stuff. I do 2 or 3 things. Sometimes I do those same 2 or 3 all night. Back when we were working with coins, someone would buy a roll of quarters, and I would just take the roll of quarters, hold it between my index finger and my palm, and just make a false transfer, hand it to them. As they reach for it, I'd set it on the bar in front of them. And they'd reach for it, I go, no, it's right over here. You know, little things like that. Because again, my job was get the money and see that they kept playing. Is there a follow-up on that, Joel?
No, that's what I wanted to, find out. Also, my other second part of the question is, you were talking about scripting before. So I'm assuming you were not highly scripted, but you must have had an outline of how to make it click.
I would. I'd have an idea of what it is I wanted to say. And after the 50th time performing it, I'd pretty much have my script down. But it was such that I would be able to deviate from it if I needed to.
Right.
I was just going to say a very quick hello to Kip Sherry. I've just noticed, I've just gone to the gallery. Rabina here. Oh, I mentioned him before, Kevin Peel. By the way, if you've not seen his open mic Wednesday shows, again, it's, the links are everywhere. You should go to Kevin's shows, and Rabina is often in the cast.
Sorry about the dogs barking, guys.
Yeah, that's all right. That's, you know, I love dog. Yeah, I love dog. Yeah. Take it easy, dog. Okay, well, back over to you folks if you want to, chat with Frank.
Frank, one heck of an afternoon. Thank you, sir.
You're quite welcome, Tom.
I think I was at that convention when you said, "Hi, I'm Frank." Unbelievable. And when you said books or DVD, could you have read that book out of Paul Gertner's book as easily or learned it as quick as watching it on a DVD? Is it harder to learn out of a book?
Since he actually taught it to me in person.
See, yes.
But
even better
the thing
than
is, when you read it in a book, you end up developing your own style for performing a move or a routine.
It's your own interpretation.
On a DVD, you want to mimic the performance.
Yeah. Well, he's put more hours into it.
Exactly. Yeah. And his book is phenomenal. He's got a lot of wonderful stuff in there. Yeah. But the thing is, you have to know your style.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I'll read an effect and I'll go, wow, this is phenomenal. Or I'll see somebody, I do watch DVDs, or I'll see something on a DVD and go, wow, that fooled me. But it's not my style. So I'm not going to take time to learn it or modify it to try to fit me.
And
there's stuff out there.
And as much as I'm not a card technician, I what Anthony said very early on in the show, you make me feel like a layman. When you did one, I was like, I didn't even know what you were doing. And I know card technicians, and I've been to so many lectures, but some new stuff just goes by sometimes. And thank you. That was great.
You're quite welcome. In fact, the thing with the card box, that's probably about 1.5 years, 2 years old.
Superb. Yeah. And the coins.
But even whenever I create stuff now, I create it within a 30 to 40 second performance thing, because I've done it for so long. I can't think of a 2-minute routine or anything like that. Everything has to be
now the coin routine with the cards, and then you swap to the 2 cards and then to the 1 card. How long did it take you to come up with that?
Shoot, I've been doing that probably 30 years.
Wow.
But it took me.
That was pretty.
Yeah. But the last part was from a Paul Harris book. I don't know who I got the first part from, and the second part was so, you read the stuff and you take, well, hey, I like this bit, I like that bit, I like that bit. Let's try to put them together. And I'd never seen anybody do a matrix where it went from 4 to 1, none.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I had never either. That was nice.
yeah, and I played around with a lot of 2-card ones, and this one just blends with my performing style.
Oh, thank you. That was good.
And I don't do it a lot anymore because I never use the close-up pad on the bar. And even now, I don't use a close-up pad. I had one today just because it's here in the house, but it's not something that I carry around with me or anything like that. I've learned to even like shot glass routines with big loads. I've learned how to do it on hard surfaces where you can cover up the noise.
Or like you said, so many times you've run into every little obstacle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Most entertainers can do the same things because they have different audiences, where amateurs do a lot of different things because they have the same audience.
Ah, true.
If you think about it.
Yes, that's good perspective.
Yeah. And behind the bar, I was able to do it because new people were always coming in. So I'd be able to break something in with this person, or that person. I don't have any coins on me. If you go back and let Tony talk for a minute, and then I'll be right back, Joel.
I would love to see that again.
And I'll show you the coin thing that I would do behind the bar to break the ice. Tom, this is something that I would do behind the bar when there's change on the bar or anything like that.
Yep.
Do you have personal observation?
Yes.
If I were to ask you what this is, could you tell me?
I'm going to say a quarter.
You're right. It's a quarter. And I have heads that are up. I know you have a hard time seeing it.
That's
head and tails. I have heads, tails, heads or tails.
Tails.
Now that would be guessing. I was one of the test requires of observation. Was I using a penny, a nickel, a dime, or a quarter?
The last one was a penny.
No, it was a $half. But West Head, see if it looks like the quarter on the other side. You can actually do it because it's rubber. You can practice with it. No, that's all right.
Huh.
And that's something that I would do at the bar, just real quick. Then I'd go serve a drink. And basically you have the coin. And as you're throwing it, you're just going to do a Bobo switch and keep the quarter here. And then after you ask them what it is, you show it's the $half, and you're just going to do the Bobo switch again as you turn it over.
Huh.
Someone says, hey, can you show me something or whatever? You're a magician. Do something. I'll say, you got good powers of observation. I'll go into that. It's nice, quick, and it's a lot of magic, right? Right.
This is Kip Sherry from Boise, Idaho. So
Hey,
you did a lot of bar magic. There's a similar style out there, and I was just wondering if you ever did any busking on the streets.
No.
Okay.
No. Mainly because I can't build the tip.
You what?
I can't build the tip. I can't build the crowd, which is yeah. Every good street performer that I know has a good script for their stuff. And I was never good at writing the script. I let the script develop as I'm performing. So that's pretty much why I don't do it. Plus, it scares the living daylights out on me to do that. Now, I've done stage, which I don't have a problem with, but trying to build a tip and pass the hat, no. I talked with one good friend of mine, Bill Okel, does beautiful street performing. And I said, aren't you afraid somebody's going to steal your hat? He goes, no. The crowd keeps them in line.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I don't know. It'd be my luck the one time, yeah. Doug Kahn, he posts a lot of stuff on Facebook. He is a street performer in New Orleans and does beautiful stuff. I just can't see me doing that. It's, yeah.
And the reason I ask you is it's kind of like what you say, it's loosely scripted. You kind of know where you're going and what you're going to do with it, but you have to be able to play off the audience just like you would be in a bar.
Exactly. But now that I'm retired, I'm doing a lot more photography. But hey, if anybody out there wants to book me for lectures, talk to me. I'd love to get back out lecturing.
Where do you live?
Vegas. But I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so if I come back to the East Coast, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Northeast.
Awesome. Yeah, my wife wants to go back there, and I'd love to go back just to photograph the fall colors. This time, my wife has us coming into Quebec City, June 4th through the 10th. So if there's any magicians up in Quebec, let me know. Looking for somebody to session with, or if there's any photographers that are magicians out that way, I'd love to go out doing photo walks over there too.
And the 3 words that keep them going are "you are right."
That exactly. Spoken like a man who knows. Oh, geez. So what kind of stuff do you do, Tom?
I'm a Santa Claus. So from Thanksgiving to Christmas, I'm the busy guy.
Yeah.
But I've done birthday parties.
Okay.
Been on the show as Santa, as an imaginary character, as out there for kids, and we do cancer benefits and things like that. We run the Boy Scout Camporees. We're trying to get a Boy Scout merit badge, so I try to stay busy there. And the Order of the Arrow, we came up with a little red arrow for the Order of the Arrow. I don't know if you're a Boy Scout, but organization
50, 60 years ago.
Well, there was a thing called Order of the Arrow, and we came up with a magic trick for the OA people. So I stay busy there. And
excellent.
After July 1st, I'm almost retired with this. My year of being national president will be up, and Rod Chow's coming in, and he's going to do a bang up job. And we've done a lot more together, and I will continue to do more together with many people. And it's great to see people like you out here, and I'm so impressed with Zoom. I thought it was kicking and screaming. I don't know. You look like you might be my generation, and I'm still not up on it. I'm trying.
Now, Tom, Frank is only 35. He just never took care of himself.
Oh, like
That's
Jack
right.
Benny.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Did somebody make your Santa suit, or did you buy it somewhere?
I bought it from the National Santa School out of Albion, New York, and
Can you send me the information on that?
Well, they've moved now. They are now. I think they're in Bay City, Michigan. They moved because the guy passed away, but it's the original guy that taught at Macy's department store, and he took the Santa course nationally.
Okay.
I'm a graduate 1984, but I'll look for the information. But the suits are available. I've got the wool with the satin. I would suggest get a Father Christmas one though. It's a lot quicker wardrobe change.
Okay, because somebody told me that what they're looking for here in the Vegas area is the Coca-Cola Santa type suit.
Oh, okay. Well, he was green before Coca-Cola.
I'm talking with a lady about making me one, and I'll get back with her in July.
Yeah. But if I were to do it again, or I may still do it, I would get a Father Christmas outfit over a Santa Claus. But if they want you as the Coca-Cola one, you're stuck with that.
Yeah.
I think Lynetta has now moved, hasn't she? When was I last talking to her? A couple of months ago,
really?
or something like that. Yeah, I think she's left Vegas now.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
She and her partner, whose name I forget at the moment. She's a singer. Can't think of the name at the moment. Anyway, Yeah, Lynetta was talking and she said, yeah, I think I'm done and I'm not going to be making any more magic stuff. I think the
Oh,
only,
what a talent.
yeah, I think the only person that's making magic stuff in Vegas, I'm not talking about the big illusions over by Industrial Road or wherever, is Lupe. She
Ray Lum too.
Yeah.
Thomas got something really, really interesting. And that is, well, it is interesting and it's a great USP. I never heard of anyone doing this. I mean, he and I got together last year and spent a lot of time together because I wrote the
Yes.
cover feature
Cover story.
on Tom.
You
when he
want a
was at-
story? Let
Right.
Anthony write it.
Thank you. That's very kind. Well, I've done a few for MUM. I had a column there for 4 years with Dan Garrett, blah, blah. Anyway, what I really want to get to with Tom is I discovered something. I'd never heard of this before. And I thought this was a very, very cool thing. He was a summer Santa.
We
Well,
did
instead of-
Christmas in July. Yeah.
Yeah, he did Christmas in July with a cool. Now, how cool is that? I thought, wow,
Now with a beard.
that's great. That's
And
creative.
not in
great.
Vegas either.
Yeah, creative thinking. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're going to have to wrap up
John
pretty
has
quick.
to leave,
Yeah, we have to wrap up pretty quick, guys. I just want to say the young man called Mr. Stark that Frank was going back and forth, and I was jumping in and saying silly things to him. That is my favorite magician ever, right, in the whole world. And although he doesn't do magic anymore, but he did. He won a lot of awards and stuff. And like I said, opened for Steve Dacry and where we first met Frank, right? Yeah. That gentleman was my son.
Talking about Steve Dacry, he came and photographed or filmed my SpongeBall routine at the bar that went into his SpongeBall toolbox.
Yeah,
It's on
I know.
that DVD.
Yeah.
Well, Steve Dacry, I think, was originally Boston, and then he went over
Boston,
someplace.
Worcester. Yeah.
Yeah. And he and Jan were just lovely people. I remember that time. Were you with us, Frank? I don't recall. We went over to his house when I took my brother over to Vegas as a birthday.
No, I wasn't there.
Yeah, you went on that one. Yeah, he made the most amazing cranberry martinis, really, seriously. And he did a complete hour show for my brother, just sitting there up in his that we used to call it a den in those days. Now we say it's a studio because it's Zoom. But he did that, and the whole SpongeBob thing was he referred to them as Martians, which I thought was incredible. Just wonderful. And he would do, I'm trying to think. It wasn't Bally's. What was it? There's another one. Caesars, where he would do a close-up show in Vegas with multiplying rabbits, which just goes to prove it ain't what you do, it's how it's done. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, regarding the multiplying rabbits, Tony, Mike Skinner gave me a nice little tip on that. He said, every time you do multiplying rabbits, give one of the baby rabbits to the spectator that helped you out. He said they'll remember you forever. And I used to do that at the bar. I used Mike Rogers rabbits because the baby rabbits were about the size of the mommy and daddy rabbits of Adams. So, that was a bigger baby. So I would give those away. And I had people come up to me 3, 4, 5 years later. They'd see me on the street and go, look at what I still have in my purse. And they'd have that baby rabbit. I had no idea who they were, but the fact that they had a rabbit means I must have did magic for them at one point in time.
Yeah, that's magic. That really is magic.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, once again, thank you very much.
You're very, 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 very welcome.
Yeah, I know I am, and thank you. I know. Well, it's just joyous. I mean, and I hope that some of our camaraderie and the brotherly love we felt for each other transmitted over Zoom to other folks, and they felt
And another
comfortable.
excellent moment that Anthony provided where he put you and Mr. Stark together. Like you say, you haven't seen each other in 25 years.
Yeah.
My son is now 40, and he was 21 when he first met Frank, when we opened for Steve Dacry at the Orleans. And I said to him, look, whatever. And he said, if I get my rehearsals, the band's done, I'll jump in. I said, okay, good, do that. I mean, he's attended one or two others. Of course, he was here with Lance Burton, who was his hero. When I said to him, guess who I've got in the show? And he went, what? No, you kidding, Dad? I said, no, I'm not. He said, okay. He said, I want to watch it. Can I go to him? I said, yeah, you can talk to him. It's okay. So yeah, he was through. And Lance did a really nice thing, by the way. This is magic. And I asked him on behalf of my son, who was like, whoa, still kind of big fan. He actually sent him a copy of Billy Toppet. That was it. Yeah. He sent him a copy of that and a signed photograph. How cool is that? Yeah. And if you're interested and you don't tell anybody, really don't tell anyone, especially Rod Chow, on June the 11th, when we have the gala show, we have some surprise international guests. One of them is the guy who made Billy Toppet. Now, I'm not going to say anymore. That's it.
Oh, Fielding West.
On that happy note, say goodnight, Greasy.
Frank, now that you're retired, maybe you can come out to the Wednesday open mic and join us with Kevin Peele. He puts on a nice little afternoon, especially our time would probably be about noon your time. So you could sleep late, come out and do like 5 minutes and go back to bed if it's not. Something to do.
Oh, yeah. Shoot me some information on that. I'll be happy. When I would lecture, everybody would say, what's the strongest thing you do behind the bar? And I tell them, you don't want to know. I say, they go, yeah. Tell us. So I do a double lift, turn it down, put the top card on, have the spectator rub it, turn over, and it changes. And they would go, but it's just a double lift. It's like you're thinking like a magician. In a layman's mind, you just did a miracle. Right. You took hard, they rubbed it, it changed to something else.
Well, guys, we're going to have to wrap.
I don't hang with a lot of magicians. I hang with entertainers and performers.
That's the secret, isn't it? Everything in there, and that's what it's all about. Yeah. Just before we go, and we must wrap it up. Really, thank you. I just want to ask. Thank you.
We have 2 more minutes. We didn't start till like 1:03. Okay,
you keep track. You keep track. The Zach man's keeping track. No, the Batman's got to go as well. Let me bring in Kevin Peele, who is not only a member of the SAM International, he is also one of our assembly envoys for England and has helped me tremendously with recruiting more people to the SAM in England, quite a few. Some of these people appear, and she's here, Robina is here. She appears on the show on Kevin's. He puts together a wonderful show on Wednesday. And I hear somebody in the SAM is doing something also on a Wednesday. I sincerely hope they change that to another day, because Kevin is now established and we get a lot of people, a lot of interest. And having said that, equally people who are interested, and then Kevin guides them to me, and then we eventually together get them to join the SAM. Anyway, floor is yours, Kevin.
Also another person that is a regular on the show.
Who? Robina. Yeah, I just said that.
Michael Kelly.
Michael Kelly. Never heard of him.
Oh, okay.
Never heard of him.
Guy.
Oh,
Really
Michael is our International Assembly envoy for the Isle of Man, very mysterious place. And Michael.
And I've never heard of me either.
No, I know. Michael has prepared absolutely what I've been liaising with him, as I do with all the cast. He will be on our June 11 gala show. So anyway, Kevin, off you go, sir.
It's Wednesday 8 p.m. here in the UK, which is 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific. We have a group, a private Facebook group for performers, a public Facebook group for supporters, and a Facebook show page as well, telling the world about the show. And we've been going for about 15 months now, every week, without fail. And it's still going from strength to strength, and it's a fantastic, and it's a great friendly show. We've got some regular audience members who love it as well, muggles, non-magicians, and a good. And then after the show's finished, we chuck them out, and magicians chat till they fall asleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. A huge thank you as always to my guests. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, huge thank you absolutely to my guests. Well, I'll probably somewhere down the line later this year bring Frank in to do a lecture and open it up to all the SAM people as well. But we will be discussing that down the line somewhere. Okay, thanks very much. Enjoy your.
Tony, thanks again for having me.
No, it's a great pleasure. And it was great to give us a chance to even reminisce from here and there. God, yeah. Jog my
It was
memory.
good to see Charles too.
Yeah, well,
Deb's
thank
gonna
you.
Deb's going to get a kick out of it whenever she watches the replay.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, I mean, you'll get
No,
that.
she'll
And
get
I
kick
know
out
Deb
seeing
will.
Charles.
Yeah, well, because Deb knows.
Yeah.
Deb knows him as well. We
Yeah.
first met all those
Yeah,
years
she'll
ago.
get a kick out of seeing
Yeah.
him.
Well, tell her we said hi, and we'll talk before you head out in June. Anyway, take it easy,
Definitely.
everybody. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thanks,
Many
everybody.
more.
Bye, everybody. Take
Bye
it
now.
easy.